shutter speed. Holy shit, look at that spider on me. So starting out our day like we start out most days, we are taking Simon for a walk. And it is actually a brisk and cold day today. You know, it is 60 degrees and overcast. So we're here in the woods where we always walk. Now there is something interesting I want to do throughout the day today, and it is this right here. This way, side guy. So there has been a trend over the last, I don't know, 6 months to a year of people using cheap little point and shoot cameras to shoot with. Things like these. People have been buying them up on eBay, so the price of these have shot through the roof. Now, probably, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago, I bought Emery a bunch of little point and shoot cameras to try and get him into photography. And, you know, he played around with them for a little bit, didn't really care too much about it. But, you know, I hold on to cameras generally, especially if they don't really have any resale value. So I want to shoot with this today and just see what's, you know, what type of photos I can get with it. This camera was maybe 20 bucks. So, and it is just the most simple, basic little point and shoot camera you could ever have. So I'm going to shoot some photos with it on our walk and see what kind of shots we can get. And when I say it's bad, I mean it's really bad. I don't even think I can change the shutter speed, which is going to be a pain because it means mostly everything's going to be blurry. Like it's defaulting to 1/40th of a second right now. Why are you doing that? There's hardly any settings in here. Oh, and a dead battery. I just charged this battery up. Let me see here. I don't even know. Okay. One-13th of a second? There's no way. No way. Do they expect you to carry a tripod around with this everywhere? Or do they just want me to shoot in like 800 ISO everywhere? There we go. I see what it's want me to do. It's want me to adjust the ISO. Therefore, it'll essentially just base my shutter speed off my ISO. So, come on, side guy. So hopefully, I don't like that photo. So I need to get this battery charged up apparently. Apparently this was an ill-planned idea. And spend a day, maybe today, maybe another day, but just spend some time taking some shots with this camera because I think it'll be a lot of fun to just see what we can get, you know, with this. And that's probably going to be blurry. It's 1/60th of a second on that shot. Cannot believe there's no spider webs through there. I really hope this yields some good photos though. This will be a lot of fun to play with. See if I can get Simon not peeing. Hey, side guy. World's worst LCD screen. Hey, side guy. It'd be nice if it would focus. Come on, that would have been a good shot. Well, I missed the shot I wanted because the camera wouldn't focus. Hey, Sai. Stay. Stay right there. Stay. 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 Hey. Stay. Look here. Look here. Hey. Nope. Stay. Look here. Hey. Sai. That's gonna be a shit picture. Come on, Sai guy. Okay, let me change the settings here. 400 ISO. Talk about slow to focus. Okay. Cannot believe that this is not allowing me to control the shutter speed. Oh, you know why this is not? This was accidentally in macro mode. It still doesn't help with the shutter speed though. This camera has macro mode, but I don't think you can control the shutter speed. Holy shit, look at that spider on me. Get to the ground, guy. There's a big spider. Okay. Yeah, that picture sucks. Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna yield any good results or not. It's like it's an aperture, not even an aperture priority. I don't know what the hell this is doing. It'd be alright if there was an easy way to set the ISO. Oh, maybe I can just... Maybe this is the ticket. EV comp. Just use a plus 1.7. No, that's going to give me 1/25 of a second. World's shittiest camera. 1/50th of a second. And that's only here. I point this any other direction, it's gonna do something stupid. I'm figuring it out. We'll spend a day shooting with this camera. I gotta charge the battery up. And I'm gonna see if I can find a manual for it online. Spider webs. And yeah, we'll spend a day shooting with this, and hopefully I can yield some better results than what I just showed you guys, because those were pretty awful. This is the Olympus FE. It's a Walmart special. Like I said, probably $20. Hang on. Wait for me, side guy. Oh, come on. Hey, let's go this way. Let me take you around the block, Si. Come on, side guy. Camera has a zoom on it too. So now it wants to shoot at 1/400th of a second. Come on. Come on, Simon. Well, come on. Simon, let's go. Come on. No, come on, dude. You are not pooping right there. No, 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 no. Come on. You're gonna pee on a leaf? You gonna pee on a leaf? Alright, so me and Tawny, we're out riding around. We got a couple places we gotta go. And I'm gonna continue shooting with this camera a little bit. I'm gonna shoot this just because it's an abandoned storefront. It could look cool, so yeah, I'm just gonna shoot around a little bit as we're out running some errands. It's funny trying to take a serious picture or look like a serious photographer using this little camera. But if it works, it works. Alright guys, so here we are back in the studio. I was hoping to drive around a little bit longer and shoot a little bit more with this camera. But like I said in yesterday's video, Tawny's not feeling well, so I needed to bring her home and get her in bed as soon as possible so she can heal up. The Hendersons are falling apart this month. We have got to figure it out. Hopefully we can get all this out of the way. That way we're not sick the rest of the year or the rest of fall at least. So we're figuring it out. But I did end up shooting a few photos with this camera that I liked before we came back home. And I want to show you guys those right now. So I shot this picture of Tawny. We went on a little walk around this pond, and she was leaning over this railing looking at some turtles. And I really like this photo just because of the amount of character that's in it. Probably really because Tawny's in it. I love shooting her. If it was a picture of the boardwalk, it would probably just be a shitty photo. But I just like how happy she looks looking over into the pond, and it just sort of tells a story. I also like this picture I shot of the geese, and this was my third attempt. That's, you know, what you deal with this camera. So there were 3 groups of geese flying over the pond. The first one I tried to shoot, and this thing missed focus. Okay, that happens with a lot of cameras. The second group of geese that was flying over, this camera didn't fire, so I missed that shot, didn't even get a frame. And then the third group, I was lucky enough that I was panning with them at the right speed, fired the flash, shot the photo, and I was able to get them. So this picture of the geese, you know, I sort of like. It's not great, but I think it is a feat to have gotten that picture with this camera. There's also the picture of, you know, the far end of the park. This park is like a Japanese garden style. That's why the structures look the way they do. And this isn't a great photo, but it's kind of nice in a weird aesthetic type of way, like a early Instagram type of picture, right? So I enjoyed that picture as well, you know, and you know, I like the picture of the storefront I got, and here's a picture of some of the pumpkins we have on our front stairs. That is something that you could throw up on social media, you know, and you know, if you're not trying to showcase yourself, I guess, as you know, like a top photographer. If you're somebody that's shooting aesthetic lifestyle shots, that's fine. You know, same with this picture of me standing in front of one of our front door mats that says go away. It's kind of a neat picture, right? I mean, it's just like a lifestyle picture. And then this test shot of me standing on a rug in my studio looks kind of cool just because of the different textures, right? So this camera, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the video, but I want to tell you guys a little bit about it, some of the things I love and some of the things I hate about it. Now, this camera is the Olympus FE-4000 12 megapixel point and shoot camera, and I have it in the ugliest color variant known to man, aka chrome. Now, chrome was cool to put on your Hummer truck in the early 2000s, I guess. But I've always hated chrome. I hate chrome looking cameras. They're a fingerprint magnet and they just look gaudy. They look stupid in my opinion. So absolutely hate that when I see this camera. This camera came out in 2009. It was originally my son's, and when he was like 4 years old, he started with the Fisher Price cameras, and then we moved into cheap point and shoots. I bought this for probably $20 in like 2012 or something like that from Walmart. I don't know what this camera originally sold for because in 2012, 2013, it was already a couple years old. I do know it's going for 50 to 100 bucks online now, and that's because of how trendy point and shoots are getting recently. But I wouldn't buy this for more than 25 bucks if you see it out there. So I found this in a junk drawer, and I forgot why we put it in the junk drawer until I started shooting with it today, and then I quickly remembered why we put it in a junk drawer, and that is because it aggravated my son at like 4 years old of how blurry the images would get. It's probably why he's not into photography now, is because I got him these shitty little point and shoot cameras. This isn't the only one. We went through a couple of them that when he would take a picture, he would get blurry images. So this camera, unless you really know what you're doing, you're going to get a blurry image. And even if you know what you're doing, it's going to make you want to pull your hair out. So let's talk about why that is. So theoretically, a point and shoot camera, you point, you shoot, you get a picture. This one, you can't do that. You have to point, you have to play with every single setting on the back side of this camera, and then you can shoot, and you may get an image that's not blurry. Now notice, I didn't say a crisp image, I just said one that's not blurry, right? Because this thing is not going to give you a crisp image no matter what you do. Now, this camera will perform the best if you're in the most ideal conditions, right? If the humidity is low, there's, probably like a quarter of the sky is filled with clouds and the sun is at a certain angle and you live in California. This camera will probably give you awesome pictures. If you live anywhere else in the world and the weather's any different, you're going to get shit images. And that is just the way it is. You might get good images if you're on top of Mount Fuji. Other than that, you're getting shit. Now, the reason for that is this camera has a bunch of auto settings, which is good, but every auto setting sucks. They all sort of lack something. And the biggest thing this camera lacks is allowing you to adjust the shutter speed. And that's a big deal because this camera here, no matter what auto setting you're in, it seems like it makes you, default to having to shoot with the flash, which is cool if you're going to those, like 90s style house parties and you want those kind of images. But if you're anybody else in the world and you're not living in the 90s and going to 90s house parties, then you probably don't want to use this flash. So what do? Well, like I said, other than being in ideal conditions, you have to stop. You have to take 3 minutes and you have to pick the right auto setting, right? You can manually control your ISO. You can manually control your white balance. Shutter speed's out the window. You're not allowed to touch it. And you have to mess with the EV compensation. And you have to make sure that you're not using that telephoto lens at all. So then you may get a decent picture, or at least something that is sort of aesthetically pleasing. That looks like you probably put too many filters on it. Now, that's one thing I hate about this camera, or a couple things I hate about this camera. But what do I love about this camera? So there are a couple things. I love that it's compact. I love that it's cheap. And if it gets banged up and ruined, which it will because this thing is not rugged, although it looks like it's chrome plated, it is probably made out of the weakest plastic known to man. But beyond that, right, like it is a cheap camera. You can put it in your pocket. It can get banged up. The screen is not going to get cracked unless you just, drop it or punch it or something like that. Like your keys rubbing up against it aren't going to do anything. So it is sort of rugged in a way. you know, I like that it tells you straight from the get-go right here that it's going to suck in low light so you're not surprised. You know, it says it has optical zoom of 4.65 to 18.6 millimeter lens, and it's a 2.6 to 5.9, so you already know that telephoto lens is going to be a piece of shit, and it's going to suck in low light, and I like that it displays that right on the front. You know, that way I'm not taken by surprise. I do like the fact that, you know, you are able to have different picture styles in here, as well as what they call magic filters, which are like pre-Instagram photo filters, and they're ugly as hell, but, you know, they're very nostalgic to, you know, cameras of this time, pre-Instagram, right? Looks like way too heavy of a filter with way too much vignetting on it, and they're sort of charming. I sort of like them. I might go back to uploading pictures that look like that because it reminds me of a much simpler time in photography. Um, you know, other than that, the camera is lightweight. The battery life is pretty good, and it takes video. I didn't even mess with the video because I'm sure it is unwatchable, but I might use it in the future. But what I like most about this camera is that it challenges me. Now, it challenges me because it is very easy for me to get a aesthetically pleasing or a nice looking photo with a modern camera. For most photographers, it is. For most people with any sort of photography ability, it is easy to get a good looking picture. Now, if you're a good photographer, then you can take a piece of shit piece of equipment like this and you can get a good image. So that's where the challenge is. I like to be challenged in my photography, and, you know, this will really do that. You know, it really makes you reach into your photographer brain and use your skill set to figure out how can I get a good looking image with this, basically this toy camera. So I really enjoy it. I really had a blast half the time I was using this and wanted to pull my hair out the other half. So um, I highly recommend getting a point and shoot. You know, even if you're not going for that trendy look, just get an old one and mess around with it, because even if you use it for a day, challenge yourself, because it will definitely do that, because these things, at least this one, is not as easy to use as I remember point and shoots being. So I will say, don't be surprised if you see me whipping this thing out and using it more often in future videos. I also have other point and shoots. I just have to find the batteries and the chargers for them, and I'll probably be playing a little bit with those. But it's not always about reviewing and having the newest tech, having the newest gear. Sometimes you find old stuff, and that's just as fun to play with, if not even more fun. So don't buy this camera, but buy you a point and shoot, and don't spend too much on it because all the kids are buying them up on eBay. Spend like 50 bucks on a solid one. Those buys are out there. But other than that, guys, had a lot of fun with this. We're going to shoot with this more probably. And that's it for this one. So as always, stay rad, just go shoot, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya. Oh yeah, if you want a full spec list of this, go look at B&H. You know, I don't care to tell you the specs on a camera that's like 15 years old. And the specs with something like this honestly don't matter anyways, because they're not good. So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.